And so by popular demand, we are going to take a peek at Jenny 69's birth chart, or Jennifer Reese. I think that's her last name. So we don't have a birth time for her. I don't think she's ever gotten into astrology or, put out her birth chart or something. I could be wrong though, but either way, I'm going to go off of just her the date of birth. So she was born on March 11th of 1994. And she actually is a Pisces, but we also can see that she has other placements, right? So this is the legend down here. She is a moon in Pisces too, Mercury in Aquarius, Venus in Aries. But she does have nonetheless a lot of Pisces energy, which will kind of explain, the chaos that kind of follows her a little bit. So we'll take a look at that, and let's kind of just go over, her personality and what she is really like. Okay. So let's see here, because she has her moon in Pisces, let's, look at the moon a little bit. So the moon is someone's innate, qualities. It's their true colors. Okay. And we can actually just apply this to her whole stellium in Pisces, because it's how she operates, honestly. Pisces is known, to be very creative. They literally are the dreamers. So we have seen in her life, right, how she had a dream. I think even her song refers to how she had a dream from a little girl to be kind of famous, or to be successful. And Pisces placements, literally can achieve that. I mean, she has a Mars Saturn conjunction, which can give her the work ethic to a degree to make her, dreams come true because of that specific conjunction. It's very structured. Although there is going to be a lot of lessons wherever Saturn is in the chart. There is a lot of lessons, and with Mars, it's in regards to her impulsive, energy, to her anger. Probably a lot of suppressed anger that's going to catch up with her, especially during her Saturn return coming up here. Now, okay, going to her moon sign again. Okay, so Pisces is the dreamer. They have visions, but they're also they have escapist energy, and they're also a sign sometimes that can be very manipulative or deceptive. And Pisces, I think they are a sign that, in their head, sometimes they mean well. They don't mean to cause harm. At the end of the day, there is compassion and selflessness to Pisces, but there's also a lot of blindness to Pisces, and being also blind to who you really are is a little bit, it's a lesson that they have to kind of go through. So Pisces, I think out of all of the signs, sometimes, just because they're ruled by Neptune, and that creates foggy energy, they have to be more self-aware and accepting. Sometimes, they refuse to kind of see what's really going on with them and project a lot of things onto everyone else. So it's they take on the role of the victim sometimes, or they're just not fully conscious of some of their actions or, decisions. And then it's confusing too, I think, even to a Pisces person. Sometimes they really don't know. It's this innocent energy. They're just confused as to what's going on. But Pisces is meant to kind of be more practical about things and realistic about things. And that's something the Pisces person just has to work on, right? But again, Pisces energy does carry very creative energy. They are a sign it's also a sign that carries a lot of duality, because if you think about it, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so they kind of carry traits. They could also be very wise and spiritual, right? They do kind of have this, especially the more mature Pisces, and maybe she'll become this way when she's older. She'll have a lot of just wisdom to her, right? But up until that point, the Pisces person does need to do a lot of self-awareness work, and the other negative qualities that come with Pisces sometimes are being a little bit manipulative, right? Or doing things that are kind of a little bit deceptive, or doing things kind of, or even, the word lying, right? Sometimes Pisces people lie to themselves about a lot of things, or they wear rose-colored glasses. But there's also another part to Pisces, right? Especially when the moon is in Pisces, sometimes because, early in life, they kind of have this dream or this vision, and even, towards people, that people are better than what they actually are. They kind of over time can get disappointed and choose to see people not under, a rose colored glasses way. They can choose to see people under more of a negative light. So they become very, very distrusting of people. And on top of that, the Pisces sign is also associated because of Neptune. Neptune sometimes rules over craziness. Sometimes people with, a lot of Pisces in their chart, they can come off a little bit, crazy or unrealistic, because it's just, to a lot of people, what they do, it just doesn't make sense. And Pisces is a sign of being also misunderstood. So that is kind of what her Pisces stellium is a little bit about. Again, she has a Mars-Saturn conjunction, which she's going to... Mars is our ability to fight. It's our assertiveness. It's our energy, right? And when it's with Saturn, that kind of becomes a little bit restrictive. Saturn is what we fear, right? So Mars, in her chart, I feel like she's she fears losing, right? With Mars, this Mars-Saturn conjunction. So she may actually come off very strong and overcompensate with her strength, because internally there's a lack of her feeling strong enough for losing. And sometimes Mars-Saturn people, they actually choose to associate themselves with kind of weaker people, just so that they can come out on top a little bit, or feel better about themselves in one way, shape, or form. But Saturn also represents work and structure and kind of like your goals, especially career goals. And so Mars, she puts a lot of energy into that and doing things that are creative. Now there's also that more escapist side to the Pisces energy, and we could see that, right? She's like the type of person that kind of does smoke weed, or kind of maybe chooses to, I think she also has these internal processes, right, where she may choose purposely just to avoidant energy, avoid certain things, right? But usually what you resist persists, and that may come out, in other ways in her life, like, anxiety, or, her kind of neglecting a part of herself, right? So let's see what else we have going on here with her. She actually has Venus in Aries over there. So Venus is like someone's feminine energy. It's their style. So Venus and Aries woman will come off sexy. They'll come off bold. They'll come off she does have that a little bit of fire in her chart, right? That she goes, she can come off assertive and very powerful and very strong and very, alpha-like if she chooses to. Another important aspect that she has is her Mercury squaring Pluto. That's another thing. Mercury, well, first off, Mercury is an Aquarius for her. So if Mercury is how someone rationalizes, how someone thinks, there's a little bit of rebellious energy, right? Defiant energy. She is gonna maybe stir some reaction in people because of how she communicates and how she talks, and maybe she will come off like she doesn't give a fuck, or she doesn't, she can come off in the way that she communicates as if she didn't care, that she was the outcast. Mercury in Aquarius, but there are people, the way that they think too is very outside of the box. They will take risks, right? So you sometimes will wonder, why did she make a certain decision, or why did she say this, or that, or why does she think this way? And it's because Mercury in Aquarius is kind of meant to stir the pot a little bit. They're meant to do things out of the ordinary, which will work in her case, right? Kind of helps her, because doing things that nobody would expect, putting herself in risky or taking risky decisions, right, has gotten her a lot of power and success. Her Mercury squaring Pluto. Another major theme I see in her chart is that she probably has a lot of paranoia. Especially because of the square from Mercury to Pluto. Sometimes I think I read in a book that Mercury square Pluto smells rats constantly when there isn't any, So that can cause her and her emotional reaction to just her reactions with her words and what she chooses to say will also will come off very strong or intense. Okay, she can come off very intense and just intimidating, or she can just cause a reaction in people just with anything she says, really. But it's because beneath the surface, she just doesn't trust people. There's a lot of paranoia. I think her chart, especially with, Pisces too. Pisces can create imaginary situations. So sometimes, I want to, and it could be because of her past, right? She kind of grew up wondering a lot of who she could, who she trusted and who she didn't growing up with Pisces. But sometimes I think of Pisces too. They just create like scenarios that aren't even real, but at the same time, they don't know how to decipher or really interpret what's real versus what's not. I'm not gonna, Pisces is very intuitive for sure. And they can, in the sense that they can feel the emotions of other people and just know when something's up with other people, emotionally speaking. But when it comes to who they can trust and not, they may not be able to trust, anyone at all. They're just so confused, or mentally they're just so confused. But anyways, with her Mercury square Pluto again, that's going to be a very intense aspect in her mind and probably be a source of a lot of her anxiety and paranoia. And probably whenever Pluto is connected to any planet, I do want to point out that it basically saying like that part of your life needs to be transformed or changed on some level, and we'll go through a lot of intense energy. So the way she thinks, the way that she rationalizes, that's Mercury, how you rationalize, the way that, someone communicates needs to be changed and transformed. And ideally, if Mercury is your voice and your mind and Pluto's power, that is going to be your power once you kind of get a better grasp of it, of how to use it wisely, right? But yeah, that's pretty much what, I have to say with her chart. I mean, if I look at the transits, she actually Neptune, you guys can't see it, but Neptune is right over her sun right now at 21 degrees. So she's probably going through a phase right now in the next few years where she is figuring out who she is, but she may feel a little bit lost, right, and confused. She doesn't know who she is. She's maybe under this cloud of energy, and Neptune, brings a lot of fame. And sometimes when people get famous too, they kind of lose sight of what's important or who they really are, because they kind of are very in a position of being very vulnerable and a little bit naive too. And so once that cloud goes away after this Neptune transit, she kind of will have better judgment. Sometimes when you have Neptune very strong in your chart, being a Pisces, you kind of lack judgment. Like that's, what it is with Neptune. And you kind of feel like you're the victim or you're being attacked. But once that goes away, you start kind of having a little bit more courage, and being more aware of yourself, right? But, there's just so much inspiration to her chart, in the sense that, she'll be inspired to create beautiful things and follow her dreams. So I guess that's the best part of her chart. So anyways, that was my quick look at Jenny 69's birth chart. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and have a good day.